Hi, it's Abby Plesser. I'm the fiction editor at Book Page, and I'm thrilled to be sitting here with Rick Springfield, who is a rock star and an author, and his new memoir is Late, Late at Night, so thank you so much for being here with us. I bet a lot of the fans are wondering, why this book and why now?
That's a very good question. I don't have an answer for that. I'm wondering it myself, actually. I knew I had a story to tell. I knew I had a really, really interesting life, and I knew there would be a lot of threads, human threads, throughout the story. And so one day I just got up and started writing, and it kind of wrote itself. I kind of look forward to writing every day. I wrote it without a ghostwriter, which is unusual for celeb bios, but I'm a writer, and I had to, I had to prove that to the publishers too. At first they thought, oh, sure, he wants to write it himself. We have to talk him out of it, say, look, you're a musician, you're not supposed to be able to write, we'll find someone, you can tell your story into a tape recorder. But I sent them the first 30,000 words I'd written, and my publisher, and who became my editor also, Stacy Creamer, flipped out and read like 30,000 words on her BlackBerry one morning in bold type. So she was my champion from the start, and I'm very, very proud of the way it's been accepted. I'm a little trepidatious with the things I've revealed in there, but
yeah. And that's what I wanted to ask you too, kind of how did you decide the things that you wanted to talk about, things you wanted to leave out? I mean, I've read it and it's so candid, which is amazing, but did you ever stop and think, I don't know if I really want to be sharing this?
I did, but it didn't make sense to me it didn't make sense to me to leave stuff out,
right,
because it's an autobiography, it's my life,
right,
and I didn't see the point of either lying or leaving important moments out that I learned something from. They weren't. It's definitely not an image polishing book. I was fearing that I would come off. My big fear was I would come off looking like just a jerk.
Well, you don't.
Well, thank you.
I think that's the great thing. It's so honest, and they're all your little asides. Like, if you think I'm being a jerk right here, you're right. I was, and I think that's the honesty and just the candor is what. You're telling your whole story, you're not leaving anything out, and that's what's great about it.
I think maybe that's why it works, because I didn't try and, make it seem like I was some wild rock and roller, or, that everything worked out great,
right,
and, nothing works out great, basically.
It's life, right?
Life is shit.
And tell us about your writing process. I mean, I know you're a songwriter first and foremost, but how did the transition to writing a memoir go, and how did you do it?
Actually, I was a prose writer first, because it was the only thing I ever got any decent attention for at school. I was terrible at school. Once they introduced algebra, that just the word stopped me. So I read nonstop. I used to stay home from school, and I used to actually, as I said in the book, I used to actually go to a bookstore, buy one book, and then steal 14 and walk out with them. And I had this box of books that were like half the size of this table. And my mom would go to my dad, I'm sure she's stealing those. He couldn't be buying them all. So I read nonstop. And my essays were the best thing, the only good thing about school. And my English teacher said you should be a writer. So I started focusing on that. Because I was terrible at shop, and that's what I thought, until music came along and really gripped me, and I started playing and actually saying, hey, this is fun, I like doing this, and then my writing went towards songwriting.
Right.
But I always knew I could write. I just had to convince others.
Yeah. And did you write every day? Did you keep yourself on a schedule, or how did that work?
No, I don't work well with schedules, but I was into it and I enjoyed it, so I'd write on the plane going somewhere, which I can't do songwriting. Songwriting, I've got to be in my space with Mojo and and keyboards and all these things. This writing, all I need to the laptop, So it was really it made traveling much more fun, because instead of sitting on an airplane watching a movie or doing something sleeping, I was writing, you know, and it was I felt very productive.
Yeah. What are a few things, obviously when you read the book you'll find these out, but what are a few things that you think are really going to surprise your fans that are in this book?
Oh, I think the fact that it all opens up with my suicide,
Yeah.
and it wasn't an attempt, it was just, I was fully committed, and to me a suicide attempt is, you know, you take a handful of sleeping pills and call your best friend.
Right.
I went to the garden shed at 17 with a noose, put it around my neck and tied it off to the crossbeam and stood on a box and kicked it away, and I was committed. There was nobody home. I hadn't told anybody I was going to do it. It was just, I was gripped that morning and went to it, and hanging 15, 20 seconds and starting to lose consciousness, and the rope came undone, and next thing I know I'm lying on the floor.
Yeah.
Luckily I was still conscious, because I'd made a real noose. I was very good at making nooses. I was into executions and used to build guillotines in my backyard and everything. So it was a full noose, and it was locked around my neck, and I pulled it off. If I had lost consciousness, it wouldn't have mattered. I would have, you know. But had a big rope burn around my neck, purple rope burn. Had to wear turtleneck for a while, yeah. But so I think that'll shock people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also what happened in Vietnam too, which still bothers me to talk about. But I think the amount of infidelity will upset some fans who probably see me as, you know, the knight in shining armor. You know, I refer to myself as the knight in rusty armor in this. And I think there's a lot in there that will surprise me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly my depression surprised a lot of interviewers who thought I was the happy, bright, shiny guy. You know?
Yeah. And that's something I want to talk about too. You kind of lay out, yes, there have been great successes, but there have also been huge strings of failures and missed opportunities. And how did you find the strength to keep going every time?
I think part of it was I'm incredibly driven, and I think part of that is genetic and is in your makeup. But I also think that was the possible. You know, I believe in yin yang. I believe that with every good thing comes a bad thing. With every bad thing comes a good thing. And part of the good side of depression was it was part of my driver, because I believed if I could be successful, then that would heal me, and the depression would go away. And I also wrote some pretty good songs. You know, a lot of my songs are written from the dark side. Yeah. Although I'm, you know, Jesse's Girl's a happy. I was, you know, I was incredibly pained that I couldn't get this girl. It was, you know, sexual angst. I really wanted this girl, and she wouldn't give me the time of day. So, you know, if I got her, it would have been great. Then there wouldn't have been any song. Yeah. So, and Don't Talk to Strangers is really my sexual paranoia about my girlfriend, who later became my wife, because I was doing all this stuff on the road, screwing around, and I was scared she was too. So it was like a secret message to her. So a lot of good stuff has come out of my darkness. I refer to it in the book Mr. D. And so, you know, it's not all bad, but it is a lot bad. He's also trying to kill me, so I gotta be careful.